Tick-tock on the clock. Kesha
Yeah, she
is
was
popular right now. No, she's not.
temporarily.
It's your favorite taquero here with my beloved sisters. And this is the first episode of Guac and Chippies.
Let's try the guac today. I put some garlic powder, salt, tomato, and onion. Damn, that crunch.
Ever since I started making chips, it has been one of the most complimented things in our menu. Something that I wasn't expecting.
Yeah, that's one of the upgrades that you made that I believe has been life-changing. Hopefully one day we can package them and you guys can try them.
And my sisters have expressed constantly the idea that we should sell our chips. So hopefully that's going to happen soon.
This guacamole recipe is going to be available on my Instagram. Make sure to follow me there.
Don't follow her. How long does it take you to do that?
An hour.
An hour.
Yes, because I take forever with my eyebrows. I like to shape them with concealer.
I can never. I just wake up and I'm ready to go. Recently, it's been my sister's and I's birthday. Mine was in January, hers was in February. Where did we go, brother?
71 and above for Jocelyn's birthday. And then Tao, the Asian cuisine, which we don't recommend, for Lilo's birthday.
Tao Asian Bistro. 71 and above had beautiful views and the service was immaculate.
Why didn't you guys like the food in the Asian restaurant?
When I first tried the chow mein and the rice, I felt like there was like this little bit of aftertaste.
I'm the one that pointed it out, but you guys couldn't pinpoint what it was. But essentially, they deep fry a lot of their stuff and they're not switching out their oil. So like it leaves it like a very, very strong taste. And on top of that, you spend a lot when you go to places like that.
They had duck. We tried duck. Did you like the duck?
The duck was okay. And the Wagyu steak was also okay. A lot of it just wasn't really seasoned, and I think it was because they had like a variety of different sauces that went along with the steak. That place would be cool just to like lounge, have a drink, enjoy the ambiance. But I really wouldn't go back for the food. Unlike 71 above, definitely was a huge standout. Yeah, it's super rare for me to go to a restaurant and like actually enjoy the food. A lot of things have been happening at the start of this year. We got a new year. Donald Trump is president. What else? The LA fires.
TikTok was almost banned.
Yeah, TikTok we almost lost our clout.
The Dodgers won.
Wasn't that last year?
Oh, that was last year.
That was last year? Oh, never mind.
Lila's done 2024.
Yeah.
The wildfires. So finally, they're 100% contained. Essentially, brother, I wanted to ask you if the fires impacted the business in any shape or form.
100%. Anyone that's in the LA County area was heavily impacted because of the air quality. And so there was like 2 weeks where people just were not going to have celebrations. And I had a client who had scheduled a gig. It was actually a week later from when the fires were at its height. And they requested a cancellation. So what do you guys feel about me not returning deposits?
I think it depends on the circumstances. Like this situation, I felt like maybe you should have returned the money, at least partially or something.
So it's okay for you to lose out on business because of something that was out of your control?
No, but sometimes life happens and you can't really anticipate everything.
By you refunding money, essentially, you took on 100% of the liability. Like the client can just walk away and be like, hey, because of this, I don't want to have this and I need you to give me back the money that I put down, even though you held that spot for that person that other clients could have potentially booked.
Yeah, I agree. In my opinion, I think that they have to give you that money and you already put it in the email, no returns. Then I think you shouldn't, like, even if it's any situation, because then they're gonna either acostumbrarse or take advantage of that situation, and they're gonna be like next time, oh, I could do whatever I want and book and play with his feelings with the money.
They have no respect for the business.
Yeah.
They were informed of the company policies should a cancellation occur, and they wanted to cancel, and they just wanted us to see past those rules and make an exception because it was something that directly impacted them. But the issue is there has to be some kind of way where both the business should not be the only individual that takes on the full responsibility. And that's been like my whole thing with refunding deposits. I just don't do it. I do offer a payment insurance, which is something that was inspired by Apple Care. Apple Care, you know, whenever you buy a cell phone, You have the opportunity to pay for Apple Care, and should it get stolen or damaged, they can just fix it with no additional cost. Essentially, it's the same thing. They're paying hundreds, sometimes thousands of dollars for a deposit to hold a date, and I offer what I call Fernando Cares, which is a payment insurance for the deposit. So if you submit a deposit alongside with Fernando Cares, your payment is insured, and should a cancellation occur, you can either reschedule for a different date, or you can receive a full refund. Obviously, the $50 charge is something that we keep. It is such a small amount in comparison to the dollar amount that they put down that it just makes it completely pointless for people not to add it alongside with a deposit. And there's been a few instances where clients have had to cancel, and I highly encourage every taquero to do the same thing, because it makes the conversation a lot easier. I had to figure out a way for the business to implement something like this during the COVID times. Everybody just canceled, and like, how am I going to say no to them? Like, when receiving a payment, I had no clauses that ensured that mentioned if you cancel, you can't get your money back. But even if I did, how do you look at the client in the eye and tell them you cannot get your money back when a world event is happening? But when you have it in writing prior to booking that this allows you to receive your refund, it makes the conversation so much easier.
Did that client hire you like recently, knowing that there were LA fires, or they hired like long time before?
No, I'd booked the client when we were in Florida.
Oh.
In December.
Yeah.
Oh.
And why not allow for rescheduling or postponing?
Because it's the same thing. Like, you are taking 100% of the liability.
And you wouldn't be concerned for your employees' health or your health when having to work during these situations?
That's precisely what I'm saying. Like, when an event happens that's only one-sided on our side, we are still forced to fulfill the service. And so when something happens on their side, they should be forced to follow through with the agreement as well. Like, it's just a matter of being fair. Like, it's not fair for us to take on 100% of the liability for an event that's out of our control.
Does it ever worry you that your strong business policies will affect your catering business in a negative way? Your relationship with your clients, your reputation?
Not at all. I don't mind, because it's the same thing as attracting clients that don't want to pay what you charge, and they're always looking for ways to reduce your whatever it is that you're charging. Once you allow people to have their will with you, what ends up happening is all the friends and families that they attract are going to do the same thing. And so that headache is something that continuously happens. If you allow that person to reschedule, what happens then? Well, now you're reserving a different date that a different client can have. And essentially you're just losing money. But a way to offset that, a negotiation is, okay, I need you to increase the order. So add on more people, add on more add-ons, so that the tab is bigger than what it originally was. So they were first going to spend $1,000. If you want to reschedule, okay, I'll allow you to reschedule, but the next time you reschedule, it has to be a gig that yields at least $2,000. And so that way, it's fair for them because they don't lose their deposit. It's fair for us because we don't lose the business from that day or the day that they want to reschedule in the future. And essentially, it's just a way for all of us to win. But no client will ever be happy with that. They always want their way. And so having these things up front in writing is something that I always obviously recommend. And it's very interesting too, because what made me do this, like I mentioned earlier, was inspired by Apple Care. They have like millions of dollars that comes in additional revenue as a result of that payment insurance.
No, yeah, no.
And no one ever makes the claims. And it's been the same thing for us. Like, I've been applying Fernando Cares for the past 3 years, and everyone that purchases Fernando Cares does not end up using it. But the ones that do end up canceling, never add Fernando Cares. So at the end of the day, it ends up being additional income for the business. And that is why I highly recommend taqueros to do it, because it makes difficult conversations easier, and it at the end of the day, it ends up turning into additional revenue.
It's funny because you could just be like, to those that didn't purchase the care, be like, oh, sorry, we had care for you, but you didn't get it. So...
Yeah.
So taqueros out there,
That
and
was
small business
fun.
owners, póngase truchos porque si no los van a dejar atrás.
I would be mad.
You'll be mad if you lost your money.
Yes.
Would you hire him again?
Probably not. But if I know if I've tried the food and I know that the food is really delicious, then I would. And especially if I have the money for it. So.
No, it puts a strain on the relationship, but it ends up being worth it in the long run, because you do not want to attract customers that don't respect your company policies. How do you guys feel about Donald Trump being president?
Lately, there's been a lot of cops, especially when I go to school. They're always out there.
Well, in my opinion, I just didn't really like the candidates that were running. None of them. And so it was a tough decision and choice in the end. Trump, he has just been very vocal about what he wanted to do. I don't think any politician has really provided a solution to immigration, and that's something right now that people are, going onto the streets protesting, especially in the 101. It was recently going to be like closed because people were coming down, and it happened during a workday. We were a little concerned because we had to drive through the 101, and we thought it would impact our catering gig. It didn't, luckily.
Do you have any conspiracy theories about it?
The only thing that keeps coming up, like Simpsons predicting that he will be like the last president, or him passing away. They were already kind of right on the fact that last year, he got shot in the ear, and that caused a lot of drama.
I think it's interesting how an attempt on his life was just easily brushed off.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I feel like the media didn't portray it as a bad thing. A president getting shot. It didn't feel like there was enough like hype as to how disastrous that was, and I thought that was interesting. What would you guys do if Trump deports you guys? American citizens, Mexicans.
Honestly, I've been a little worried about that towards the beginning, just because, there's been a lot of talk about him doing that. I haven't committed a crime, not that I know of. So I don't think it would be fair, because, I contribute to this economy. I'm a citizen. I work here. I eat here.
That doesn't matter.
I know.
It being fair, like, what would you feel like?
Honestly,
I would feel betrayed, and it would be such a joke, because Trump is already like, I don't think he's portrayed positively, even internationally. People hate him, or people are against him and his policies and everything. So him getting rid, and then also getting rid of like the people, because there's a large majority of Latinos that are American citizens who voted for him.
I'm gonna stop you. I don't think Trump is hated anymore. He won the popular vote.
Internationally, there's people right now, I don't know if you heard it, TikTok, people from, was it Germany? They were protesting because they were saying that we weren't.
That always happens, but I'm telling you, he won the popular vote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but there's a reason, because they put a candidate that didn't even know how to play the part. I'm just
but like, you can't be hated and win the popular vote. That doesn't make sense.
Yes, you can. I think you can.
I have mixed feelings about getting deported.
Yeah, no, life is gonna be very, very different, but.
And also the language. I mean, we speak Spanish, but
yeah, I'll instantly get signaled out as an American. I really stand out whenever I go.
Oh my goodness!
I'm not even saying because of looks. Like, I just stand out. Like, it's bad enough here in the States, and over there it's just times 20. And on top of that, as soon as I start speaking Spanish, they hear the accent. Like, I don't get treated like a local over there.
I feel like adjusting to the different lifestyle is going to be the challenging part. Because living in Mexico City, or even living like in a ranch, it's way different from being here in Los Angeles. Transportation itself in a ranch is very difficult. Some roads don't have pavement.
But I don't even go out.
Yeah, I don't think it'll be.
I think it'll be difficult.
I don't think it'll be difficult at all.
If you're living in the city, I feel like it'll be easy because you have the metro
like number
and
one,
taxis.
you have, like, are we able to have all our assets and all our belongings? If we're not starting from scratch, is what I'm saying. We're not starting from zero. Like, if we're able to get our finances and all our vehicles and all our equipment, they give us like time to leave. And especially over there in Mexico, is we don't really pay rent over there.
Yeah.
Starting a business doesn't cost anything.
I know.
Like, if you want to do a taco stand in front of your house and no one's going to tell you anything.
How about the drug dealing and narcos and all that?
It depends on where it is. So, like, if you're in Michoacan, it's a little different.
Right
but if
there.
you're in La Ciudad de Mexico, like, it's different.
It's a little bit more flexibility. So it depends where you are geographically.
Yeah. And either way, like, you can always leverage that to rent out a location in, like, wealthier areas. And we continue with the same grind. Like, I think if they take away your finances, they take away everything that you have, and they just strip you naked, like that is a problem. Yeah. But understand that is such an extreme, and it will cost so much money for the government to do that, because there's just a lot of people. I think immigration is something that has kind of been over exaggerated, especially because Donald Trump has already been president 4 years.
I don't agree with that. I think immigration has always been an important issue, and it's not over exaggerated. It's something that's happening, but we don't always see it. For example, when the Obama administration was in office, they started the whole kids in cages, but nobody knew about it. And nobody knew about it until Trump became president. And the reason they built these cages and they separated the children and adults, because there's a lot of issues that happen in the border from human trafficking. How do you, like, identify whether the children are actually traveling with their parents? And a lot of them were also coming here alone from Colombia, Venezuela, Mexico, different parts of Latin America. And so, that's always been an issue, but it hasn't been highlighted, in my opinion, until Trump has been in office.
Immigration has always happened. And it's been a big problem for those that are in the States committing crimes. Like, immigration has no affection towards that. They'll just get rid of you. They'll deport you wherever you come from, right? But I'm talking about, like, there's a big narrative right now that even if you're a citizen, you're still in danger. They're going to get rid of birthright citizenship.
Actually, the birthright citizenship, it was appealed by the court. It's been blocked.
Yeah. And that's what I'm saying. Like, there's like a due process. There's a constitution. There's things in place that don't allow for those things to happen.
But I think people were scared about being deported because a lot of citizens were arrested because they didn't have documentations or they ran away, things like that. And they made headlines, so it was covered, and that's why the fear is coming because of that.
Media is like over exaggerating on that, because like, who's getting deported knowing that they're citizens?
Well,
like, the amount of people that has happened is just so small. And in fact, Latinos have turned that into a joke. On TikTok, there's people saying, I ran from immigration so that my brothers could escape. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I feel like it's been highly over exaggerated, the negative effects of what immigration has done.
But I also think that because you do live in a blue state, you haven't seen how law enforcement and authorities doing retenes or redadas.
Yeah, of course. And that's what I'm saying, like, that's something that's always been happening. It happened.
It was more
regardless,
lenient. I want to say it was more lenient.
But regardless of who's president, that's always been happening. Knock on wood, nothing happens. But as of now, I mean, immigration seems to be immigration. Like, they're getting stricter on the border. People are getting deported. But those are all things that have always happened regardless of who is president. You guys think there should be open borders?
No.
Yeah, you answered quickly. You're gonna they're gonna come after you.
I'm on the fence.
Okay.
I understand why we shouldn't, and I also understand why.
It's because
I'm not 100%
guys
against it. I'm in the fence. Yeah.
Guys, I don't know. I'm a woman and I like to go on walks, and I don't want to be looking out over my shoulder just because other countries let out criminals from their jails.
But here's the thing, that's going to happen regardless now because we have criminals here in America who are not.
But you just said, but it
sought
doesn't make
after.
sense though, because you guys just said that the police is being more stricter because Trump is.
To me, like, this is what I think is the whole point of Trump. It's like kind of like a facade that we are going to be more strict when it comes to immigration, so that it stops the influx of people trying to come in. Mm-hmm. And so whenever you start getting more strict in the border, people are going to feel less inclined to make the trip. So this is very interesting. Like, you always have to understand like the facts, because more immigrations happen under Barack Obama than they have under Donald Trump.
Well, do you have the fact? Do you have the dates?
I mean, you guys can look it up, but the number is like Barack Obama is like 5 million or something like that, and Donald Trump is like 2 or 3 million. But Barack Obama has already gone through 8 years, and Donald Trump is barely starting his 5th year. But here's the biggest thing: by the end of this 4-year cycle, I think Trump will definitely have deported more than any other president, potentially. And so let me tell you, the majority of people that come in are always in search of a better life. But they always use the small percentage of individuals as an example to generalize the entire population. That's always been a thing. It's a net positive to be more strict in the border. And the point that I was making earlier is just super quick. Previous presidents rejected illegals. That accounted towards the number of people that got deported. Donald Trump will be the president that gets illegals that are already in the States and deports them. Does that make sense? Most presidents reject them.
And then
Donald Trump is going to get rid of illegals. Mm-hmm. So that's very, very, very different.
But it's kind of controversial because the way he's trying to get rid of them, I don't think he's sending them back to their countries. He's putting them in this detention center, like prison.
Well, nothing has happened yet.
Yes, they already started transporting them.
In my opinion, all these things are being put in place to not incentivize people to come over. But I don't think American citizens are going to get deported, and knock on wood for sure. Do you guys know like what's been happening with Trump and the tariffs that he's been imposing?
There's been a debate and argument between Mexico and China. He stopped shipments from China from coming in. How's it going to affect us? Where guacamole is going to be more expensive.
Wait, he stopped trade with Mexico for products?
No, he's raising 20%, I think.
So
or 25%.
Donald Trump raised the tariff. I think he imposed it was like a 20% tariff on products coming in from Mexico, and then Mexico did 30%. Mm-hmm. And then they had a conversation, and Donald Trump said, "Let's pause the tariffs for 1 month. We can reopen negotiations after the month, but in return, like, I want 10,000 National Guard of Mexico along the border to help reinforce it." And so essentially, the whole idea is that Trump is playing chess. Like, that was his goal, and he used like the whole tariff thing to negotiate that. But more importantly, as soon as Donald Trump announced the tariffs, the economy tanked. Like, I follow crypto, and crypto just nosedived. This is one of the biggest drops that has been seen, and essentially I think it has to do with, like, I think the dollar becomes more powerful because of the tariffs, and that makes people less incentivized to leave money in the market. So first of all, I have to say, this is the first president, in my opinion, that has directly affected us. And usually when presidents, they kind of do those things, and it's a long-term positive or negative effect on the country, but I feel like there's never an immediate effect on us. Short-term, what that's going to do is all the products coming from Mexico are going to be more expensive. As a taquero, when you buy avocados, I mean, most taqueros already don't provide real guacamole, and they're not going to do it indefinitely anymore because that particular item is going to be expensive. In our industry, we still rely on a lot of the produce that comes from Mexico, but we could potentially see a big spike in certain goods, and that is something that directly affects the taco catering industry. But more importantly, the point that I always try to make is you have to be able to learn how to price your service and make sure you are attracting clients that pay premiums. right? Because if you are focused up on clients that are not paying you what you're supposed to be charging, you're going to struggle during these times.
How much do you think I spent on this guacamole?
That's a good question.
It's about 6 aguacates. So how much do you think I spent with 6 aguacates?
I'll go first. 30. 20?
Oh my god.
6 avocados?
Yeah.
Like $10.
Ding ding ding. It wasn't $10, but you're close.
What the heck?
It was $9. So this is $9. I'm not including the tomato though, or
Was it the
spices.
small ones?
They
the
were the
large
medium
hats?
one. Medium ones.
Where'd you buy them?
Rolf's. It was 2 for $3.
So $1.50? That's not bad. So tariffs. There's a lot of pros and cons, and only time will tell whether or not it'll be in effect. I'm not sure if it's passed yet, but it's something that he's heavily in favor of, that directly affects us, is not charging taxes on tips. That is,
yeah, I think he already.
that is something that is crazy, because it only benefits those who are making money. It doesn't even help.
You don't
like,
think it helps waiters?
No.
Like people who are in
the waiters that are in higher end restaurants that are receiving a great pay, starting salary, and then receive a lot of tips. Yeah, though it helps those. But for example, someone that works at any local restaurant that doesn't make much, and they're getting paid minimum wage, they say they get paid $26,000, and then they get like $10,000 in tips. If they report those tips, they don't get to pay taxes on them. But because they're reporting more in income, they don't get other tax benefits like the child credit or essentially the tax refunds.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas opposed to waiters who are getting paid more, they don't qualify for a lot of the tax benefits. And on top of that, they can report their high tips from luxury locations, and it adds on to their income, and then it gives them more spending power should they want to apply for loans or purchase a house. And that's why I said this is something that directly impacts us in a very positive way. Mm-hmm. And this is like the first time that I've seen like a policy that once it comes through, it's actually going to help us a lot. Mm-hmm. Right? Because if we pay taxes, hypothetically speaking, on $100,000, and then we can report an additional $50,000 in tips, and we don't pay taxes on that extra $50,000, and that gives us more spending power to be able to purchase a house, to be able to do X, Y, Z. And I think it is such a pointless policy, but I'm not complaining tremendously.
Why would you say
It'll
it's
affect
pointless?
me, though.
It's not pointless.
Yeah, because it's kind of like
benefiting you.
It's benefiting me, but like I understand, like sometimes you need to invoke certain policies that help the masses. Mm-hmm. And I feel like that is super strategic in the sense that it sounds nice, it generates votes, but at the end of the day, it doesn't help that many people. Yeah, I think it's a very interesting time to be alive as a small business owner. In the food industry in specific, we can report all of our tips and we're not going to pay taxes on that.
Now I want to talk about conspiracy theories that may or may not be true. Wildfires. There's a lot of talk that they were purposely started. On the official site, it says that the cause of the fire is still being under investigated. So one theory is it was started from the entertainment and Hollywood side. P. Diddy was arrested last year, and apparently a lot of the mansions in the Palisades areas belong to celebrities. So they're saying that potentially they're covering up like important documents or evidence that may help with the trial. In that area, there's a lot of hidden underground tunnels in where illegal activities happen, such as human trafficking, and those tunnels connect through some of the mansions there, specifically P. Diddy's and the Getty Museum. Now that you know a little bit about that, what do you think?
Okay, so I think it's a bit excessive because so much destruction just to burn a house.
I mean, it's not just one house; it's multiple sections, and
but the tunnels and all that stuff, it's still gonna be there.
Yeah. But maybe it's to divert the attention. That was one conspiracy. There's a project that's happening in Los Angeles. Basically, they want to make the city a smart city by 2028 due to the Olympics. And Palisades area in Altadena make the perfect sections for transforming because the infrastructure is very antique. And essentially a smart city uses digital technology. and it collects data. There's more surveillance. It makes it easier for transportation and just improving the quality of life of American citizens or Los Angeles citizens. And Los Angeles is one of the places where they want to improve the LAX airport, especially for the Olympics times when there's going to be like a lot of tourists coming. And if they have better transportations from like getting around in buses, Uber, and going to touristic areas and having kiosk machines and being able to just download an app to be able to move around the city without any problem, because right now it's not that easy. Essentially, the reason is that they wanted, to get rid of these areas so that they are able to build that new technology.
It has more merit. It makes more sense. Like the other one is, I don't know, like Pete Diddy case has been going on for a while. So.
No, it started last year. He got arrested.
Exactly.
But it's
so by
not...
then, like the house should have already been raided and the investigation should have already happened. So that one seems a little too far-fetched, but this one actually makes sense, right? Because essentially they're burning down and they're making way for a better version of the city, quote unquote. So it sounds more of a conspiracy theory that could potentially be true. I mean, as long as the families get compensated for the properties and all their belongings, but at the same time, like has that even been happening? Like, is it? Are those families selling their properties?
Well, they're not allowed to sell right now because Governor Newsom passed this law that says that nobody can take advantage of the situation because they'll be in a vulnerable place. But some people have contradicted that puts them in a bad position, because if somebody does want to sell, they don't have the opportunity to do so. So they have to wait.
But right now the only thing they would sell is the land.
Yeah.
Which nobody should be selling the land right now, because anyone who purchases it is getting a huge discount. Yeah. And also, like going back to what you said, they would probably get a 30-year mortgage or whatever on that one location, so they're tied in to be owners of that property for a long period of time. And so maybe a lot of those mortgages are almost close to being paid off, or most of them are paid off, and there's no big commitment.
But one thing that particularly caught my attention is that there was a fire benefit concert that happened. My sister and I wanted to go, and our cousins. Guess how much the tickets were? All the proceeds were going to be donated 100% to victims of the fire.
1,000. How much?
They range anywhere from $700 to $5,000. We wanted to sit in the front. The ones all the way at the back were around $700 and something, almost $800. And then the ones closer to the front were $5,000, $4,000, $5,000. They started reducing the prices as the date approached, and I'm sure when the concert was happening, some of those prices went down. But that is insane.
Who were the artists?
They had Lady Gaga, Billy. I think Bruno Mars, Billy, I believe Olivia Rodrigo, big names performed, Katy Perry. So there's a lot of celebrities, and it makes sense. But at the same time, if this is supposed to be something that benefits the community, wouldn't the celebrities be better off just donating? At least normal, average, working class citizens. I don't know if we attended. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe y'all did, because
people get in debt to go to the concert.
Yeah, you get in debt to go to the concert.
I feel like
it still costs money though for them to have the concert, even if the artists aren't getting paid. Like it costs to have the venue.
For the production, but shouldn't everybody donate? Because I mean, they were donating food, they were donating clothes, they were donating things. So technically speaking, the light technician, the sound technician, the person who puts up everything, everybody could have donated, and it could have been free or something. But security, that kind of shows how the world doesn't really work that way.
Yeah, nobody's gonna work for free.
No one's gonna work for free.
I almost got hired to feed 1,000 firemen.
Wow.
For the Altadena
That would have been dope. I
One of my clients reached out. They did. I did give them like a disc. I wouldn't say it was a discount, but I charged them less than what I would normally do, because I thought it was a good cause. But it's really hard for our service to be given away as a donation, especially at scale. There's so much detail that goes into the service. So for example, imagine making chips for 1,000 people.
Oh my god.
It takes a long time. Avocado.
You need to have the oil at specific temperature each time you put it, huh?
Yeah, and then switching out, making guacamole for 1,000 people as well, because we don't do the salsa. We give them real guacamole. That's at least 500 avocados, right? So she's going to be making guac all day. Like,
You mean the whole week?
Remember when we had the 1,000-person gig?
Yeah, like,
and I
was-
made like 12 boxes of 60. So how many was that? And essentially, I spent the whole day just scraping out avocados.
yeah, no, it's
It was
very,
long.
very, very time consuming.
And then how do
And
you?
it's laborious. Like, there's a lot that goes into it, and then for them to want to pay less for it, like, well, essentially, I think the tab I gave it to them for $20,000 for 1,000 people.
20,000 or
20,000.
Oh wow, that's a
And-
lot.
And
But if the community
and-
came together, you'll be able to pay it.
and it was the normal the normal menu with the addition of aguas frescas. So enough drinks to satisfy 1,000 people.
Yeah,
Unfortunately, it didn't go through the gig.
the gig didn't go through. I mean, I think they were also donating, so imagine
It's very-
20K for a family to have to
it's
give.
very
It's-
difficult.
Yeah.
Very difficult for something like that to happen.
If they had
I don't
less
think it was
people,
a family.
maybe.
I think it was a company that she worked with. No.
No, it's like her and her business partner, so it would be a donation, and obviously I think there would be a GoFundMe thing. But
And I
True.
think the interesting part was that they said they had hired you before when your prices were different. So they got to see the difference in prices.
I heard the whole conversation. I like hearing Michael talk to his clients. When she heard the numbers, she's like, "Oh wow." I remember when I first got you there, it was 500 for one gig for 3 hours. I don't know. I like being a chismosa.
different times, but like ever since then, the menus is different.
Yeah.
There's more value that the client gets.
How do you guys feel catering for companies that their guests are celebrities?
I put a smile on my face just because, like, one shout out from the right person will literally just change your life tremendously. But it's kind of hard to be able to get that, especially how we are. Like, we're very, very professional. Like, we're not nosy. Like, we're not gonna butt into people's lives and be
And
like,
we don't
"Hey,
ask.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna ask for a picture. I'm not gonna be like, hey, can I post about you? Like, we've catered for so many A-list celebrities, and like I never asked for anything in return like that. But like if they go out of their, and mind you, that's the entire business reputation, online reputation has been built like that. Like I never asked people to do anything. Like they go out of their way to leave reviews and recommend me to other people, right? And it just speaks volumes of the type of service that we offer.
I totally agree with the part of the clout, because last year when we catered for that one gig, when I told my classmates about it, he came the next day, the next week of class, and he was like, oh, the girlfriend posted a video and she mentioned that they had a taco bar, and everybody in the comments were like, oh my god, tacos, I love tacos too. So I totally agree with you in that. It'll change our lives.
I just think it's pretty cool to be able to be in room with people that, you know, are working hard in the profession that they excel in. Also, the idea of the 6 degrees of separation, that we're connected to each other, like, I think it's fascinating. It's one of the fun aspects about catering is that you never know who or where you're gonna end up.
Being in those circles, I've come to realize that I'm way more attractive than what I thought I was.
Oh my god.
Top 5 on everyone's list, dead or alive.
Wow.
And you ladies need to work on how to act around celebrities, because this girl over here started blushing just because, yeah,
Aw.
she got super like. We talk about that, huh?
No,
You don't have to say who, but like,
Well, I just think that
you see someone, and then Jocelyn was like, "Oh my God, he's here." And I'm like,
No,
I don't care. I'm serving tacos.
Since I was a child, I was in choir. I participated in theater. You know, I've always leaned towards that area. That's why I got excited.
I try to not go crazy over a celebrity, but
She
when
goes-
it happened, I got shy, especially when they're all glammed and stuff. I love makeup. I love like outfits. And so when I saw them, they were really beautiful.
I say this again and again. I've been exposed to various different A-list celebrities, and I have to say the most attractive people are always civilians, like normal people.
In normal communities, it's harder to find attractive men versus attractive women, because I think women are better at taking care of themselves.
Exactly, and putting themselves
Yeah.
better at putting themselves together, and like I feel like a lot of guys kind of like brush the importance of how they present themselves.
Yeah.
Myself included.
But it's also hard because sometimes you just want to be comfortable. Like right now it's raining and it's like you don't really want to be wearing a nice dress or something because you're going to get wet.
And so all the taqueros watching, always know, go out of your way to provide an exceptional service to every single client. Make sure down to the T everything is perfect so that whenever you do get the opportunity to be exposed to these crowds, you make a good impression, and that is literally going to manifest in an amazing way that's going to bring a ton of benefit towards your business.
Mi hermano cocinó ese día con mucho amor. Mucho amor.
Yeah, they ordered the organic
Just
menu.
hermano?
También Jocelyn.
Oh, I wanted to...
I didn't try your rice and beans. So, but the guac, I also didn't try it.
Oh, like the only two things that she makes. Right?
I didn't try anything else in the pico or anything.
Yeah.
Okay, so...
Every podcast, we're going to open it up to TikTok because that's how we started doing social media content on a larger scale. And Lilo is going to be answering some questions, and we're just going to document the process as well on our TikTok.
So whenever your brother posts on social media and he gets negative feedback, how does that make you guys feel?
Sad.
Sad? Why
Yes.
sad?
Because it could get to your head, even though you might say now it doesn't. And if it doesn't, then damn, you got. I was gonna say something, a bad word. You got a lot of guts in you for it to not affect you that much. But I know somewhere little behind your head, it will affect you in the long run. That's why I tell you, don't be on your phone too much, or don't look at the comments a lot.
For me, when I read the comments, in the beginning, the first 1 or 2 negative comments that they make against my brother or the business in general, they don't affect me. But then if I'm just like fixating on them and keep reading and they keep coming and they're all negative, it starts to like put me in a very angry, sad mood.
Yeah.
And that's when I realized, no, I need to take a break. But I've been getting better because in the beginning, even when I started doing TikTok videos before we started experimenting with the business, I would take them to heart. But I've been learning that a lot of these people just have the balls to say these things because they're anonymous, they don't have profile pictures, and there's something larger going on in their lives, and they're just reflecting that anger, negativity into other people who might be trying to be positive and good.
And most of the time, like, they make me laugh, like the things that they say.
Mm-hmm.
But I wouldn't say that it affects me in a negative way. Obviously, like if you don't do something that pisses people off, you're not doing anything good.
They has to create emotion.
I want to
No,
say
like,
something.
it's fine. Like,
Emotion.
no, if
You don't have to piss.
if you don't piss people off, you're not doing anything.
No, that's not true.
All right, TikTok. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We are currently filming the first episode of our podcast. We're gonna see how it goes. Having some fun here with my sisters. I'm gonna pass you guys to my little sister. Any question that you guys have, you guys can ask her. She's gonna ask it. We're gonna talk about it.
Cat Mom says, how did you start with the business?
It's very like generic. What isn't generic is how did you start being a part of the business?
Catering business started in the early 2000s. My dad and Ismail started doing events at people's homes or at parks because they loved the food. And during that time, I was still in high school. And a lot of my responsibilities included just washing dishes. And so then I went off to school and I wanted to become a journalist. And I started studying media communications, social media. So that led me into taking my first job in a television station in the Spanish market. From there, I went to social media. And after that, my brother was like, hey, Jocelyn, so you're over here working for other people. And you're very savvy with technology and social media and creating videos. Why don't you apply that to our business? Because I ended up quitting multiple jobs due to many other reasons that I don't want to elaborate on today. I decided, that's a very good question. He's right. Why am I not helping out my own family in the business? And I decided to embark on this journey of becoming part of the catering business. And so far, it's been challenging because, we had moments where, particularly in 2020, when there was like no jobs. So how do you create content when you're not working? And I had to do a lot of trial and error, but the whole TikTok thing happened during that time, and it just started with me asking for orders, and those went viral, and that inspired more videos.
Yeah, so essentially we reached a point in our lives where we had certain skills and talents that when applied to the family business, it was going to be something that is advantageous for everyone, for the family, for ourselves, for our development, our finances. And yeah, working together has always like allowed the business to propel even further.
Alejandro's asking, did you ever go to college? If you did, what did you study?
So I definitely went to college, unfortunately. I'm a huge pessimistic when it comes to that, but I dropped out. But before I dropped out, I was pre-med, so I was a chemistry major.
Woo!
Jocelyn?
I went to college and I graduated with a double major in communication and French, minor in writing.
Margarita is asking, do you enjoy rating tacos from different restaurants?
Before, I actually stopped doing those. I think it's just me personally, like I've been trying so hard to like work on eating better, and it's kind of hard for us to find time every single day to go to a different spot. So when we first started doing the tastings, we would do like 4 different locations in one day. And I was just not having a good time because like I was just eating so much and it was not cool. But there's a lot of potential in that because it allows us to be able to do a lot of things as a family. We can easily apply that into a specific aspect of our lives, which is traveling. My sisters love to travel. They love trying to go places, and I'm big on business, right? So it's always good to find ways to incorporate interests along with business. Whenever I don't have to try 5 different places in one day, like I enjoy rating other people's.
Sometimes it gets tiring if you do multiple, like you said, but it's kind of cool to see like the different styles and like salsas and cooking.
Toby's asking, what's the biggest challenge of running a taco business?
Establishing the brand not just locally but like nationally and internationally.
Getting to a point where you're doing well but you're struggling to get more engagement. You're stuck in the middle.
There's been various times in the past where it has felt like the rug was pulled from underneath, and it's like disturbed the system that we currently had. So the first one being when my dad first moved to Mexico, that caused like a huge disturbance because I'm like, damn, now I have to pick up the slack and do X, Y, Z, and being able to do the day-to-day is actually very, very difficult when you don't have employees. And another example of that is like during 2020, right, when we had an entire year worth of work scheduled, but then because of the quarantine, like all of that business disappeared. And so it's like, now what do we do to pay the bills? What do we do to continue the business? Should we get jobs? Should we continue to do content? So I have to say the hardest part about running a taco catering business for me has been the uncertainty that life brings you, and it just like life will really just like bring you down to your knees.
Samoa asks, Gary, with no job, ... how did you guys pivot storage of money?
What?
Shortage of money. So how do we pivot when you have like the shortage of money?
Well, first we stopped spending.
Oh yeah, I remember there was one time I just couldn't buy anything.
Business-wise, that time gave birth to the drop-off service that really just changed everything for us, because it allowed Jocelyn to be able to do caterings without her having to serve and do things. She would just show up and drop off the food, set up the spread while I was catering other gigs. That big event that happened in the world basically pushed us in a direction where we introduced a new stream of income. Another pivot is focusing more on social media. Right now, it's still like a very small aspect of our income, but on a monthly basis, it still does generate something. And the more we work on it, the better it's gonna get. Another big pivot that we did was selling the marinades. During the quarantine, I also tried meal prepping, and that didn't work out. There's been so many things, so many different forms of content that we've tried.
It's been frustrating.
Yeah. So it's like constant trying and doing different things, and then eventually we find something that works, and then we keep doing it.
Matter said, "How do you look so good and cook so good?"
That is not funny. It's just...
It makes you guys laugh.
Okay, brother.
How do you look
Stroking
so good
my
and cook
ego
so
and-
good? Why are you stroking his ego? No, I'm kidding.
Even more.
Thanks for the response.
Are you gonna answer it?
What do you mean?
wait.
How could I possibly answer?
Well,
that
first of all,
question?
I think you could answer it. So he ended up upgrading his uniform. So before, yeah, like you didn't have Dr. Martens.
Dr. Martin.
No, I mean, for example, I ended up buying a different blouse, like with the little bow.
Yeah, no, for sure. Like I've inspired the overall look and the presentation of the business for sure. And I was like, okay, Doc Martens is like a cult.
Yeah, and
I truly believe that. And then I'm like, every time our clients see us with the dogs, it's like a huge staple.
Lilo likes to do her makeup, so it looks really well when we go out to cater. And I just make sure that, you know, I brush my teeth and and do my hair. But thank you so much for tuning in to our first GuacnChippies podcast. It's been a pleasure having a little discussion and sharing guacamole. Make sure to follow us on social media, Instagram, GuacnChippies, X, Blue Sky, TikTok, everywhere. You can find us everywhere. And if you want to know the recipe to this guacamole in particular, make sure to stay tuned for my Instagram page. I'll be posting a reel on the ingredients that I used. What do you all think about the guacamole?
It was really good.
Delicious.
Are you faking it?
No.
Well, see you all next time.